when you're 10, 11, 12, 13, having a superstar in your mind, like a superstar in the same room as you.
Éamonn Ryan with it, Éamonn Ryan with it now coming up the field. He's tackled and post, deliberately ball there.
Some fellas would be close to a tear or two, like the way he spoke to us, you know. It was always calm in one way, but really tugging at your heartstrings in the other way.
Nurulute anam Éamonn Ryan visha kusula masoya.
He could kind of transmit his own kind of infectious passion into you, and that could be on the pitch, that could be in the classroom.
Squeenlam go Joe like Dane of Shakespeare, so fun school lesh. Pure classical, like fish ahead of the times, really, you know.
He made our sporting careers, like, without a doubt.
Éamonn never treated us any differently. It was like we were players, not female players. We were athletes, not female athletes. We weren't degraded or felt lesser because of our gender.
He really helped me, you know, personally, in his own really astute way. He supported us and helped us hugely.
Is Queenlam ag soccer Éamonn, bhí fógrán, agus méad a bhí scríte an fógra ná, farewell to the Máistir. A good coach can change a game, a great coach can change a life.
Court and show on the old Saka when them Rory led Oiga.
Shin Gavil Hocktig.
Yeah.
It's the US Open.
Yeah. Tá díalana ag dul harnash na blianta. So gachile sesiún tréála bhíige scríobh sé amach an sesiún rivré agus an sin scríobh sé rud éigen in sesiún freisin, you know. Gachile, like fiúháin scían na scoil, na Tlobana, na Piershig, na Conability, UCC, na ladies.
Glon and
Freichan, yeah.
Pula Club, you train on.
So bhí structúrige agus scríobh sé gachróid síos. Agus na quotes an sin, dúsáid sé na quotes, bhíoh sé ag léamh go riomhinnic agus dúsáid sé na quotes sin. You know, gachi a leis na ladies, gan áras agus le gachfar na stocha.
Agus bhí metrics again?
Bhí metrics again, yeah.
Gachile dina bhí metrics again.
Yeah. Selectors were 100% selectors on agus players 56 agus 2/3%.
Socrates, Muhammad Ali.
Cadador Socrates.
The wise man knows that he knows nothing.
Fiúháin an bhliain sicata le tá díalan an bhliain sicata agus quotes gachlá. Bhíoh sé ag léamh nuair chuala sé rud ar an radio nuair an telefís agus scríobh sé síos. Sin an córas a bhí ag istócha. Agus istócha go raibh sé rianta na gcéad dul tharnaisigh tréáil le fornéig an teile istócha fiúháin go raibh sé beag nach 8, you know. Sin an meón a bhí aige. Ceap sé dá mbeoch an meón sin a gé mbeoch sé óg go deo istócha.
Durugug agus tógug Éamonn Ryan a gunnaán na Billarí, an téad sinne de heisir cluine ag Jim agus Mary. Ba léir galua de bhainteí rian go raibh graim ag cuasaí sport Éamonn óg.
It was a very, very busy road. It was difficult enough because the children in the village often liked to play out on the road, football and hurling, but because it was so busy, you know, you had to get in quickly if there was a car coming.
There was 3 lights in the village, one at the very top where my house was originally. There was one light here just behind us, and there was one street light here. And that was our floodlit pitch back in the 60s, and there'd be a full-scale game, everybody in the village.
Bé an amanaíocht a bonsa le Éamonn, ach le líon dó, bhean scoilíochta chaithfeá tíos a gáin, de chuir sé sím sa fell comá.
Nuair bhí sé féin ar chláist Ísagáin, do bhfuil sé leid nógó chiaí. Agus chunig sé go soléir, díos go raibh na caidáin pelle a bhhad níos snast agus níos slachtmhar go son, ná mar bhí go héana agus daon eile. Ní raibh méid ceanna lúna fachtaige. So chuir sé rimis mar imimeóir féin feabhas a chur na scileanna.
Nuair a thosta sé a freastal an ollscoil Corcaí, dardaigh an caidán tuile fós agus é mar chuid lárnach duireann Pelle Raúl na ollscoile.
He was one of the stars of the UCC as well, so he would come to the knowledge of the Cork selectors.
Éamonn was on the Cork football team. They got beaten in 65. They won in 66 against Kerry in the Munster final. He was man of the match in that.
Kerry were beating Cork every year in the Munster final. So when it came to 66 and we won and the game was in Killarney, it was huge.
Bhí Mick O'Connell ag immert le Curie agus de bhuaig Corcaigh, so mór an gascé sin freisin.
An bhliain in dhéag an bús Dara Wilson, 1967, dimig Éamonn chun páirce don ócáid is mó is sport na hÉireann.
I'm only 11 or 12 at this stage, and your brother playing in the All-Ireland final is unreal.
Towards the wing where it is got to Éamonn Ryan, up now towards Flor Hayes, coming across to the far side is Éamonn Ryan. Then that is a mix-up in the centre of the field with Cork, but it's all right. It's Éamonn Ryan with it now coming up the field. He's tackled and most deliberately fouled there by Terry Kern.
Ócáid faoi lethe, you know. Aine imar riamh is tócha gur heasta go bheith bach an crócaigh ar an lámór. Fiúháin nuair a bhíos ige mar toile mar créamhach, mar sin féin bhí mar ón an lá sin.
I think it is easily forgotten how good a player he was, and he was a fine player as good as Cork ever produced.
Faoin am son, the bhí Éamonn haar neis mar bhúntóir ina cheanna scoil. Is an son a tháinig ar réthe aiceanta mar I leonóir chun cín.
Bhí sé móna gona cána Pillerí agus bhí sa móna a Corcaigh scoil na mó sin agus fós mar 1967 agus chumar fóin gona cána Pillerí thóg mar tachan agus fós pos san scoil. Bhí an éireann sa scoil anna heasar fad bhí mar go léir cosúla clán anna bhór.
Éamonn would have been the master here forever, really, and then through Skeena Skull and stuff, he would have been the first fella to introduce us all to GA.
Gachil lá omláin, bhí cluichí sa far chalíní mór, agus chalíní agus búclí ag immert na fórna céine. Thug sé deiste chalíní agus búclí páirte glachas na cluichí.
It was unusual for us to be training with the boys. I suppose he saw potential in some girls and he included us in the Skeena Skull team.
We were doing team talks at 10. It's still what it taught us at that age. It became second nature. You know, you evaluated your performance, you evaluated what you did. Could you have done better? That's, again, at 10 years old, that's heavy going when you look back now and think, geez, yeah, I was being quizzed and developed from personal development at that age, do you know?
I remember in Páirc Uí Chaoimh lined up and the master, as we called him, walking up and down. We were lined up facing the stand and he was walking up, motivating us, you know, and it was incredible. I'll never forget it, really. In fact, when he passed away, I remember asking one of the boys that I would have played with, asking him, did we win? Because I couldn't remember if we had won the match or not, you know. I just remember him and how motivating he was for us, you know. It was incredible. He made us feel great. We thought we were like in the All-Ireland.
Dimmer Éamonn na mánaíocht lena club ó bhí sé na garsún, ag ní raibh bhreathar beartha go dtí go raibh sé féin I bhaileartha.
1974 was the only year I didn't play with Watercress, and guess what? They won the county. Watercress had always been a B-grade club, you know, down at the bottom. When Éamonn started training teams properly, he got a more coordinated effect from them. There's kind of a bond built between them. If you meet some of them, you'll still see that bond is still there, you know. of that team of 1974.
Started the year we had nothing, but you'd end up in winning some fighting or something. It's all down to him, and the lads just standing their head for him.
There's many clubs that you'd meet them at matches like, and they say to you, aren't you lucky you eat him?
It didn't matter what kind of level you were at, because everyone was equal. It didn't matter if you couldn't hurl or not, he still brought you along. Like, that's what he wanted. As long as someone was doing something, he didn't matter.
We won an intermediate county in 2004. I remember being in the dressing room afterwards. I was only 18, and Éamonn walked around the dressing room getting everyone's autograph for the programme. And like, you'd be thinking, why is he asking me for my autograph? You'd be thinking, like, this man has won loads in the game, but that was just a man, like.
When he passed away, just reading some of the messages, I saw people in our class, and they spoke about, the likes of us might speak to about the love of sport that he put in us. There was other people in our class talking about the love of geography, Irish, maths. He was just passionate about everything, and you know, other people in class knew about, he introduced us to classical music in 6th class. We were all in the same room together at the same time, listening to the same stuff, but he could just reach everybody in a different way. So like, as good as he was as a coach, and as I said, there was no one better, he was phenomenal. I think as a teacher, he was nearly even better, and just as a person.
The day of his funeral, you see that, like, the lines of people from the village down as nearly as far as the graveyard, like, you know, the respect the man gave the people over the years, he got it back in droves that day, like.
Féhús na Knockfordí nóair a ceapag Éamonn Ryan in Éamonn, bhí peladóirí sínsir Corcaí in áit na lefinganna sa cúige. An son, in 1983, do thugnar fé cléthe canis na móna barcaí chuomh agus cíorí thóir an naoh gréamh in íge chéile.
I don't think we were really expecting, like, I know it is a bad sign, but we were going to go out and try our best, but I don't think some of us believed that we were going to get a goal and win by 2 points.
Oh, that's John Cleary, what a chance now! Yes, Dennis Allen made it for him.
Basically, I think a manager should be a person that you want to play for and that you want to win the match for. And Éamonn was the man that was like that, and everyone was mad about him, and everybody wanted to play well for Éamonn.
That's into Tyke Murphy. Yes, it did. Tyke Murphy. What an astonishing finish. What an absolutely amazing finish to the Munster final.
I'd like to especially thank 2 men, Éamonn Ryan and Joe McGrath.
Árítar an cléthe le canislan mar ceannas na múr ócáidí is start le hín an ghael. Ar an drothúir fuair an ócáid féin an ceanna Sarah Corcaig.
It was a circus, like, that day. The Dubs were out of Dublin and they were delighted. And it was the only time that the hairs on the back of my neck, I could feel them bristling up.
And across Barney Rockers there, yes, it must be the goal. It's all over. Dublin are in the All-Ireland final in 3 weeks' time.
I don't know what happened to us on the day. I mean, we definitely left Éamonn down. We didn't play at all. I mean, we were disappointed in one way when he moved on in '84. Billy Morgan was one of the good guys as well, like, so I don't think Billy would mind me saying 50% of the team was trained into by Éamonn Ryan.
Captain Guru Sharon Tiago Gomechan Buacha. Fishy couldn't lay in a bookend. Piero the Harlock. Villan lads Mahas and Vernishin, Villan lads in Ishagus, Ryan Plain to Coristaka. Agus a lan clí bútacha, bhí 3 craibh na món bútacha. So, de bhí muoine ag muinte Corcaí, agus bhí anna báig go leis an bhurdan sin leis.
When we won the All-Ireland 89 and 90, we knew that Éamonn had a piece of that he was responsible for.
Tréis Éamonn Ryan, Misna Corcaí ar dúins na Knockfordí the lag club I dúsgat na carach súler, mar nar evan sailor a doil ag na piercig ac an nerid.
I'r tatws y clwb, no y masg dini yn clwb. Nyr y lwte anam Éamonn Ryan fi eisiau cwswyl y masoia timpl yn oetre, agos sort dridor dy hoes. Come out to me there, touch Dylan. Let's go. Caig dini ahand na piercig ma clwbs no octod in yw'r ahonig Éamonn. But clwb biog e dy hoes. That's it. Bring it in, Keane again. Bring it in. Good lad, well done. That's it. Fi'n clwb y gôn i fwy sgar. An trí club móra Corcaí, sin na Bears, Rockies, agus ó córs an béal doris fan an na glanne.
Ag an sin, nó nachhfuil créamh bóta agat. I dagne bíon túráil atíon an bhfuil míad má golóir an dhéana mí sríomh ach tháinig Éamonn isteachas tóte. Lads, tá sibh abda dhéanamh. Tá sibh má golóir, tá sibh níos fearr ná aon eile.
Chance for the piercing comes in an area. Johnson, Joey shoots it, and it's a goal! It's a goal for the piercing!
Nuair a bhóid siad an craobh chunné in iad nócha cuimhnig is sin a mion I measc an club agus bhí mise trídiog ag an ón. Bhí mise ón nuair a bhóid an craobh an céad ceann riamh. So sol fása an éfachta bhí sin mise mar learóg, ag fása sós agus ó ná sin a roig hasting góm immer sínsir leis an club agus craobh chundé a bhócin.
Bhí sé linge nócha, bhí sé linge nócha chuig nuair a bhór mar an darsa, agus bhí sé ling a gáchéad sa ceann nuair a bhór an tre. Bhí sin seo gábhlíon ó hin agus bhí sé brúite, ag an ón. Agus bhí an sppraig agus an spid céanaige leis na leidjan sin amach na bácha sin. Té mo hóran nach beach an bór sin riamh going gan Éamonn blian.
An legacy a dog sé tá sé sin fécálaach fós a club, like fiú mise ag déanamh tréanáil leis sin a fearn faoi ís. Tógamana chuid rudaí a dóla mé as Éamonn agus déanam mé éire chur a gleachta leis an fearn. Is mór é.
Dathraigh sé á creadúint. Ní raibh creadúint a going thug sé an bhid sin. Agus an rud is mó thug sé dúin an creadúint sin. Tháinig sin isteach mar strán sé agus dimí sé bhain mar carúa.
Sagan ama a chaise leis na piercing, bhí Éamonn mar cómhainisteoir ar an míúr pelle Corcaí, agus bhí rár a héan san leis nuair a crocodar craobh na héan in 1991 agus a rís in 1993. Nuair a dairig Éamonn as an munmhún tóireacht, díl sé choláiste na hallscoile mar ifigach forbara dus na cluichí Gaeilge. Di chéalaigh sé seo go raibh sé ganas ar an hallscoil bar rathúla sa tír ó thaobh na himire, ach ní a bhéon tóra lena hím I ngachsáis gníomhaíochta.
I remember being at a game or whatever and seeing a fellow coming on as a sub, and he mightn't have been the greatest footballer in the world. And Éamonn would say it didn't matter. He took time out to come down here to tug out. He was very good with guys, who might be away from home, and this was, coming down to so-called big city in Cork. He'd bring them into the club or bring her into the club, and to the best of his ability, he'd look after them.
He did always say that by being around younger people, it made him feel young. And I think that was key for him. He loved working in UCC, he loved being around the students. He loved the crack of that, and he loved observing just human nature in teenagers and seeing what they're up to and what they were doing.
The sprach sé muí an hain mar hampla, thug sé cabhair do riine san hallscoil, má bhac hain, thug sé cabhair don rih sé cuine bhar golchan na hallscoil mar sin do, ní éiteach sé a róhin a dhéanam duit.
Fé 2004 bhí fuidan pelle ban Corcaí grúchás agus cabhra testáil go géarúa. Bhíar ná agar ná feicbúte riamhacha agus an tumaláin tidin as a céile.
Cork ladies football was in disarray before Éamonn came on board. There wasn't a whole lot going on. People didn't really want to play for Cork. The best players weren't out playing. There wasn't a whole lot of pride in the jersey. I remember playing and being at trainings with 5 and 6 at them. It was that bad, really.
You're a fact boat you get Corkig, Éamonn, Pelle, na Héireann. Bhí Éamonn Corkig mátá.
There was just such rivalry between the clubs that it was just not what people wanted to be part of a county scene. I don't think there was any vision there either. Everyone was doing their best at the time, but there was no glue to bind us, you know, really.
In the dressing room, they'd be one side of the team here, one side over there. Looking back, it was crazy what was going on, you know.
Leis a glú a bhí mar ghuineá chuirg fórn ar a manaibh, de chuirg Éamonn Ryan a gceannas idirn sínsir an cúnta.
Ní raibh mór an ólas gumsa fé Éamonn óíon ag an óm. Bhí sé cloiste gum go raibh Éamonn ag tactaisteach agus bhí CV maithage ach ní raibh clú a gumsa ná ire. Ceap mé gur gnánaí as a bhí ón agus bhí simige oning agus bhí me sé lánsásta le son.
Ar ag chiad lá bhail na fórne, de thocraigh Éamonn tíalacha Pelle. Bhí sé sa léir láireachta go mo chobair agus dúlán mór rimis leis an grúpa a chonig sé an Maidinson.
The first session was in Dunamore. Éamonn came in, just said a very short few words, didn't say much, and we all just went down to the field and we played kind of matches for about 2 hours. And he was just very nice. He was not overly friendly, but you know, just keen to watch us play. And it wasn't until afterwards, speaking with Éamonn, many years afterwards, that he said that he was surprised at maybe our lack of skill. We played up and down here for, I'd say it was nearly 2 hours. We were just playing games, stopping for a while. Like I said, Éamonn didn't say a huge amount to us, just took it all in, I'd say, wanted to see where we were at and see how great we were.
My parents tell me still that when I used to come home from training, that I used to tell them the stories he told us. So I can't remember the exact stories, but I used to be so excited. I used to always go home and retell the same story and say, guess what Éamonn said tonight?
I can just remember training being so enjoyable. His drills were so well thought out. They were so applicable to the games that we would play afterwards. I think that's just my abiding memory of starting off playing with Cork seniors, was like just the total enjoyment of training.
He could just capture our heads somehow. I don't know how he did it, but you know, when he spoke, we were all engrossed in when he spoke. It was amazing to see it.
So hánig na fiawsa he beaga, dréir chéile, an naidas agus an fua, a bhí ann blian rimishin, bhí sé mehe.
Agus in éon bhliain, bhí Éamonn agus an irin nar bhuaig éonad riamhs ar bhúil sé látha, ar is slí go páirc a crócaigh do chluthe canis na Héireann.
An lá son agus de gach raibh na Héireann a bhí mar bug sé crolámh de gach duine agus brunnig sé ar ghansaí doing. Rud speisialta de gach duine crolámh bheith le Éamonn agus bheith brunne ar ghansaí doing le haid cléigh canis craibh na Héireann.
It was up on the board. Appreciate what you have before time teaches you to appreciate what you had. Perspective and getting us to be in the moment, and that kind of gratitude and that presence. Like, he's definitely ahead of his time, you know.
Well, you know, you see gal over around like it into Kent, but the captain will only answer going, you know.
You don't really realise it until you look back, how crazy it was, how we went from winning absolutely nothing to becoming our learning champions.
Ach in anastas na himiróí, bhí a cogad persanta féin á ara ag Éamonn timpeall an ama céanna.
Bhuailg ail sé
Pimple Terry Gavil sa trí, agus Tasap Gavil sa car, agus bhí cóirleis an sin ach fós bhí sé gobar istíigh san chláiste, heag sé isteach go dtí an ospidéal an maidin chun an réidir máil, agus an sin areis go dtí an chláiste, agus an tréáil sa tránhóna. Agus thug sé aigear an rud sin go cróga misnúil.
Níor lóir sé mar an fé, dúirt sé dhéon den dagur fa ceistar, dhear ná tá go bre, just chaimí dul stachan agus be an cóirleis go nó agus be méid tréáil an ocht agus They just a lein sé leis, agus réigen gur vis a goin greibh sé fulling den échar, neidir an raibh sé nó nach raibh sé. Ligigh sé ar go raibh gachar go be agus gur sin gnáród séil gunne bín dúláán rót agus caiitú iad a háú nó lí sios, agus ní raibh sé chun lí sios.
Honestly, I wasn't aware of it at all. You wouldn't have known it at training, you wouldn't have known it from his energy levels. He was always full of energy. He never felt sorry for himself. You would not have known he was sick. I think it was only maybe in latter years when someone mentioned it that I realised that he had been sick. And I suppose that's a true, remarkable sign of his character, that he was able to carry that, not moan, not complain, and just get on with it.
That's the type of stuff that gave him the legendary status, is that, getting cancer treatment and then coming to training on a Wednesday night and nobody knowing anything about it until a couple of years afterwards.
Yin sé begus fiú den ailse líomháin. Agus ba chlí an sport Éamonn de lá leis an cogadh nó an caithfhíor siúlaige leis an ailse. Ach níor dhéann sé aon súntas riamh don na dacrachtaí bhí go héin agus do shridse agus do chur sé go chéan den eile riimiis hénig amach nó go dáinnig an ná go chuise chun na bhleas.
It affected him. Now, he would be a deep thinker, and he probably had moments, when he'd be in the car, in his famous small little white car, that he'd have a lot of time for thinking, But he just got on with it. It wasn't going to stop him living.
In Gávíle sa sé, ba champíní ile éirniad ban felladóí chur. Agus Flin Amson, bhí siad lonathe I láran an tréála nua, a bheadh mar bhailidóibh den giad dimlíon eile. The farm, I go láiste na hallscoile Corcaigh.
Sometimes we have fitness tests, but Éamonn would have his little car parked up and blasting out the beeps of the fitness test. That was the speaker, his whole little box, his whole car was the speaker. Or we used to walk down here and the cones would be all set up and we'd know the runs that we'd have to do.
Agus an craobhsan le cosantacha, bhí teachtracht siimplí ag Éamonn Ryan-dóibh.
He said, lads, there's two things. It's very easy to win one. It's much harder to win a second. And what you have to do is have small heads and small arses.
Small heads and small arses.
Don't come back now with big heads or big arses, And that just captured everything in one sentence. Look after yourselves and don't be getting too big for your boots.
I suppose that's all you really need. We had achieved so much, but he managed to keep us all very, very grounded.
It's the big ship. The bhfuil siad an tamna cléamh as a céile. Agus sna blianta níosan bíonn tíimplíocht an tarma sa a bhí acu.
He would laugh at the idea of tactics, really, because he just felt like it was a group of musicians that would sit down and play, and, somebody would just start playing because they'd feed off the way somebody else is playing. And I think that's how he wanted us to play, was to feed off the energy and the knowledge that we would get from playing and getting used to playing with each other.
Bhí sé decorated either chur le chéile, táid le chéile agus asúla maybe not an bhíonn Chicago.
We weren't happy that we had 2 in a row or 3 in a row done. I think we were constantly looking for the next league and the next cup.
Top Kern, Brendan Martin, and Doloyas, Purshley, the trio playing, Asakale,
When Éamonn called me on board, it was probably pretty evident I was very left-footed, and Éamonn would always have encouraged me to work on my right leg. When I finished playing, Éamonn rang and I was talking to him one day and he was saying, do you know that you kicked 2 points in 2 different All-Ireland finals off your right foot? and we won each by a point. And I was saying, no, I was totally unaware of it. And he was saying, no, didn't I tell you practice off your right foot? Such attention to detail like that, he was mad.
Det for agro der kusule le past yoga temple that in no look like det stories got the clash for en was når vi sig lord slår sig kun law near vek she reeve lord she law margini agus den she irti the spragge shaka see the brew her
You'd have done anything for him, and that was on and off the field really. A lot of us just idolised him. He was so informative, he was so knowledgeable. Like a lot of, analogies that he used were from a non-sporting context, from the formation of geese when they fly to Arsenal's motto. He had just conjured up this massive love for playing and for being together. And we got such enjoyment out of it. None of us wanted the journey to end.
Ní credan daine seach níor lóirí mar riamh faoi 2 or 3 or déanamh is focusing ar an géad le heile, agus an son siad na man a bhí a caint faoi. Is tóg an rud is mór ná gur bhaling an rud seo a cumad a siúl có fad agus is féirlaí. Agus ní bhí mé a caint faoi 3 or 4 ach níor bhaling go gaiile mís le heile, Mar tásaí nuair a chosnóid ag cailúnt beag deire le ná réile,
Ach nó mar a hálíonn de gach éanarin de hánig an clis.
Bhí me sem mar captain actually an blian son, so bhí mé búrathe I rinn na bliana, agus bhí mé chuir gléach ar Éamonn ó am go chéile. Bhí Éamonn búrathe gan áras, ach bhí Éamonn búrathe gach blian in áíre.
Agus siadí Ashley O'Kane gan isteach agus cófáte. Tímas títa Sarah Conley Collins, tá sé críoch níos sa nearga haitión.
Sometimes when things start to go wrong, a lot of things kind of snowball down after it. And for us, I think that year, definitely our preparation up to the quarter-final wasn't as I suppose, as smooth as it would have been other years.
Pass live is that team is still or to the Valor Park. Yeah! Cole well go hit on. Gon hit to it. Blianta father. Ta Corco Bolte.
It was shock. It was the thought of the whole thing, the journey had ended. When you're plunged into that type of defeat, you go to the darkest place, I think.
The Valigan group le chéile continue fórne a garim I dictárne cáiliú le gahar Corcaí, agus is an son a conachas canaracht Éamonn Ryan I gart.
I remember at that meeting, Éamonn said very little. He just kind of let the players talk. We were all kind of saying, look, this was probably on us, this loss, and this is what we need to do better next year if we're to win. And, it didn't come from Éamonn. He let us figure it out from ourselves. He kind of gave us lots of guidance and lots of information, and he trusted us then to come up with the right idea of what needed to be done.
Against Dublin in the All-Ireland quarter-final, Éamonn had spoken about this. He had heard on the radio about this woman who'd lost her husband. The woman was asked by the presenter, like, how she gets on and how she continues with her life every morning. And she said, I walk down that dark tunnel and I turn on the light, and he told us the story, and he'd used the analogy of how, as players, that's what you must do when you're in, when your backs are to the wall, so on. And I remember him inside the dressing room, and he jumped up and down the dressing room, and he told us, to turn on the light, And there was just a roar, like even talking about it now, I get just a tingling in my spine, like we just roared back at him.
Tóca cé an tac
Larson did here. Sneed into Garini Gehenik, or the Hesta, Hashi Elliott, Hashi Crane, Shapur, Ulta, the William, Ulta.
Ruggadar an craibh leabhar is I míad an óir agus ní a bhéon stop leotha san dábhlíonn dar gionn ná aon leidú luachanna an Eleonora ach an neirid.
Bhí sesiún a going a glúdúh wallball session a bhí gist. Creation sesiún dúirt Éamonn lom Cad a captú féin sesiún sonrina. Bhain sé get asam mar bhain chur Éamonn ceist or mríomh fé éon sesiún agus an son dúirt mé. Bhain mé tanna bhas ní rinne mé sesiún ball eile leis an pel riamh agus cá sé timp agus dúirt sé. That's right, Rina. You missed the 2 sessions we had in 2005. Just like a stickler, like, oh my God.
You kind of knew when you had said the wrong thing, or he might give you this kind of look of, you know, kind of a, and he'd shake his head and you'd be like, oh God, I definitely said the wrong thing to Éamonn. We were all inside the dressing room. It was about 15 minutes to go before we went out and we were waiting for Éamonn to come in. And I think I just said to the girls, I said, look lads, we have a big task ahead of us now, but like, let's just go out and enjoy it, like. And next thing, Éamonn burst in the door and he was like, we're not here to enjoy ourselves, we're here to win a match. And I was like, oh God, I wanted the ground to open up and swallow me.
Shots are home. Force the cage like Curtin Leon in their valuable Cain. Tough winning. Drichtun Shaffarkay. Tish Taft Hanash. On Moss.
They're very special people, like, you know, they just do what they're asked to do, like, they never expect you to come up with something extraordinary. They just do the ordinary things very, very well.
In gáhíle sa cehardíag, d'bhíidir sa tóir a gearú créimh sa céile, an néú ceann ar fad. Ag leama sa chluthe canis, I gcuineamh leag lia, bhí droch cumad an scéal.
Shirley na Flynn did an down the Hongo, Lindsay Pates, Clifton go hall again fad.
He just kind of spoke to us and said, like, you know, there's people in much worse positions. He spoke about a guy that was in Crumlin recovering. He spoke about different people in way worse situations than we were in. You know, we were down in a football match in Croke Park.
I can remember just even being sitting on the sideline that day saying, you know, oh, I just do not want this era or this team, you know, for it to all end like this, to be beaten by 10 points by Dublin.
Dibí cuasaí in olchas ar fad sa tanna le agus gá géir le háirithe.
Reach Corkery here, the custom Tanya, Patricia Taxon again of the east. Agus rounds of Quinta suddenly a ton again, Lindsay Pace.
He never gave up hope on us. It was always kind of something he drilled into us. You don't stop till the final whistle, don't give up till it's over. That was our main team tune.
Ronan Ivochne, Máistir, Shisha Benachol, Hashet Yantake, Arstoin. Amila Khun, Stacharistensa, Shantel Khul, Adi Shedaba, Hasha fight again, and Scally.
Agus higan banistóir, nach sí himpish de hánig scór cinúnach an bhua sa teachta níor éachtach san.
Geraldine O'Flynn, but just again, Geraldine O'Flynn. Hasha Kora Harisha Trastan, Ha Corkig Huntussen.
He actually rang me about it afterwards because I had missed 2 previous. And he was like, why do you think like that one went over? He was like, do you think it's the repetition? So we used to do a drill where he'd do a semicircle around the goals and we'd do it every training session. He was just kind of putting it down to take yourself out of the moment and just going back to what you know. That just shows the depth of his thinking in one particular moment, you know.
Oh, dramaturg, the Chlahe.
De bhar an bua dochreite san, de brunne gradam lán tilte a bhuidan, ihe cinúnach is star sport na man.
A public vote, and the winners are the Cork ladies football team.
I just remember that night he was just so elated that, you know, you'd gotten the nod from the general public.
From day one, Éamonn would have referred to us as footballers and athletes. He never called us ladies footballers, and I think definitely that award, he would have taken great enjoyment out of that.
Anna Kalini Korskilul, Tashi Kwakali, Tá sí có dégrasach. Tá sí dúil bhíonach. Tá sí díreach mar na leid ach bháin nach bhfuil sí có ládar agus níl sí có mór. Is mór an trónach bhain sí níos má takeíochta.
Agus iad a fada an nehuchréf yn ish, beléir gur gear gymach ré Éamonn hart.
Agus a bhfuil an nehuchréf Porte ag Corkbank. Is dólam go bhfuil tá go dain hain.
I think Éamonn kind of felt that the change was needed and that it was time for him to move on.
A massive thank you to Éamonn Ryan, who has given most of his life to Cork football, and particularly to Cork ladies football.
There was no official sign-off or step down, but I think, did we all kind of see it coming and know that it was coming? Yeah, we did.
We were awful sorry to see him go. It was kind of the end of a legacy for a lot of us, but life does go on and people have to make a choice.
Fwy'n amstan, dy fi Éamonn cwrha fé grílar ghaeltach bhúsgarí ish, count ar góchis a bhaná céile pat.
Hain sé lum teachta bhaile go dtíon máid cúchais, ach is dó go greibh sé dechar go leor Éamonn mar cá sé fulla bhór das na blianta gona cána Villerí. Ach déag ar níag I hain an áit leis.
Agus go lua, fi an tignú mar lárannad da chlána maláni rian, an séisir páiste agus séisir gár fáiste diag.
Bhís ag immert leis fóráin. Bhí mise mar lán cúlaí, Dad mar lán cúlaí clé agus Jimmy mar lán cúlaí ar dhéis.
I know.
So bhí mise ní raibhna cuaigna sé bin ag díostocha. So mé féin Jimmy agus Dad ar an
Cían, Cuilum lá bháin bhí sé beagnach seaca agus tháinig sé bháile limping. Ní raibh féin in mórí a going, so bhí mé gimmert beagnach seaca.
Agus gon éon sin a gomsan.
I know. Nach raibh an tóir.
Is dó go díad a chóir ar lábháin na ar a restan mé.
On Frost Shen, behind every good man is a great woman.
Sin pat.
Lot of fear.
Agus beléir gur bhuiin Éamonn fuineh as an bléamh dhéige le clán óg a chluine.
Bhí anna grá é dogs bhín sé anna crackaus agus fioch sé spuch agus, ag cíirclog, agus bhí sin na fáiste féin people na gar fáistí.
I remember bringing Moss, my youngest boy, back to see himself and Pat, and Moss was climbing and trying to knock over stuff, and Éamonn was delighted that he could be a little bit destructive even in his own house. I suppose that's what I really miss about him, is talking about the simple things.
Mar a bheith fá súil, da chabhraigh Éamonn leis an glub pile nar a thosta sé a chur fé míle an ghaire. Níor a bhéon chréibh cúnta bútaigh go gom an riamh, ach dáirigh sé sin leacht Éamonn Ryan.
Cuilum an ciadúir raibh sé an tréáil hí ilir háirí beganin bog, agus gleic mé hailgarí Justin agus Éamonn go raibh siad bog, agus dúr Éamonn, beidh si go brag orm daine bhfuil a gúsáidiad, agus sin an ciadúir a bhfuil mé ar Éamonn.
Nuair a tháinig Éamonn isteach ar dús bhí sé sáis mar part-time seán nach raibh mar bhí sé gobar leis na mná ag an am céine ach ní féad le Éamonn éonúir díanamh go part-time seo agus bhí sé an seo gach mát, gach ine agus tráthnóna dé dónig agus dúra mar leis éonúir a heastíonúir tréáil Éamonn be mí dón. Bhí sé gcónaí ag chur bléim ar an blocáil agus an cuioine seán bhí mar Brandon blocáil tréáil just bert le chéile, líród kick block agus bhí ar lábh tain agus mar sin de
we led a violence and you can Kennen count them Rory's fair everything, but never call Randy go over, but came la Craven Contains and Himmertley, the local score, Kinte.
Bellingham come forward and sets Castlemaire come forward and sets an equaliser, and it's Alan O'Regan shot, brought down by the most successful mixed farmer in mid-court, Mandy Concannon.
Níor bhlocáil sé an líród riamh ribh sin ná ó hin agus fuair sé an bloc déarnach sa nóméid déarnach agus bhúmar an cléthe.
It's all over! It's all over! And Ballingeary have won the Median Football Championship.
Bua is mór riamh, agus tá go chéine fós a caint eola.
Agus fiú le blianta beag an nuas agus an pláinte tepar Éamonn, bhíoh sé fós a láthir go rialta.
Gabhfuil san éidig han sé seachas an le Damien Lang com a gabhfuil san éidig agus bhí sé mar chuid lánach an rud, but fós, tá bhíoh Éamonn a dhéanamh díanach sé,
Bhí sé gaiirí beagání níos muile ag siúl timpeall, fadómheoch sé ag taspáint na sciile na dúing ní raibh sé abaltéis sin í dhéanamh a hiile.
Bhain sé ceannta go dtí an deire.
Dúirt sé liom, I suppose gá bhí ó rih a bhásta, ceapim go mar bhailm dul agus fórnéigen agus tréálaí anamh le fórnéigen, bud ní aidir ná méid an bhfuil an sláinte rómhatha gom. Fós a cuioine bhir sin, go bhíoach sé. Agus ba bhain rud é, mar bhí dóchas sige, go dtí an deire dírí.
He'll be missed and is missed so much. There's a huge part of me that feels he went a little bit too soon, that he still had so much to give.
When the news broke through, it was a very sad day for all of us.
Bhí mar cosúla clón in our era, so bhí sé anna uig nach raibh known dul goí an socrid.
It'll be a day we'll always remember, and it'll be a day where we are going to celebrate as well, I think, in the future. It'll be our day to catch up, I think, and remember what a great man he is.
It was lovely, actually, when he did pass away, the condolences from past pupils who are now in their 40s, right? And they were saying about his love of music in school. Those that weren't involved in sport, he taught them Beethoven and taught them how to play music, and they addressed him in the condolences as Master Ryan.
Seo rá bhá nach dearna lán daoine rudaí mar seo, so and I quote, Éamonn nurtured, influenced and enhanced the lives of so many down through the years and left a lot of people, including myself, with many happy and positive memories. He will forever live on in the memory of his students. Mr. Broner and Tabiagoni, yeah.
Bhí sé sléir raibh grách ag daoine dó. Rud nachhfuil nach loisí faoi go minic mé grá ag daoine taobh mud a clón féin dud dead, agus bhí sé go húntaach é sin na closin.
Bram agus de bhí cadre bháling adring agus tam fairway go raibh séling in arsa agus gur fuair an deis immert agus a bheith páirteach in san tros orga.
I think about him all the time. I was so happy. I suppose I was so happy that I was his brother. It's probably, that was a thrill of a lifetime, to be his brother. That's about it.
So farewell to my friend.